Hey you guys, so this video is going to be about when you change, when you're in a relationship and you make a bunch of changes in your life. I had two escort clients earlier today, so I'm just kind of lounging around in like my little pre-sex lingerie, making an important topic about relationships. Maybe I should set up for that, but I was just watching a video on covert narcissists on YouTube because I love learning about people. Anyway, when you're in a relationship with someone and you decide to make some changes in your life because you want more out of a relationship, maybe you were an alcoholic who got sober, or maybe the kids got older and you now want more intimacy, or maybe you just got tired of the way you were being and you want to be more self-expressed, or you want to be more sexual, or in my marriage, I was the one who made some changes in my life, a lot of changes, and I started being more loving in the relationship as well as having more requirements, I started asking for closeness and connection. And that's not what he signed up for. Now, it is true when people go to therapy and couples counseling, sometimes it's one person that gets so fed up with the way things are, drags their partner into counseling because that person who's uncomfortable wants change. So whether you're just choosing to change or you want change, the problem is that, well, sometimes the partner who hasn't, let's see, so there's the partner who wants change, and then there's the partner who wants things the same. They're fine with the way things are. They never complained. They never complained. They didn't ask for anything else. They were fine with the status quo. Now they're faced with the partner who's changed or dragged them into counseling, and two things can happen. One, somehow they're inspired to make a change because they want to keep the relationship, or they can see that the way they've been acting has been keeping them small, keeping them closed off to life, kept them from experiencing more possibility, right? Or they don't want to lose their partner. And they will start making changes. Or they can just be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good here. I am not going to make these changes. And then the other person will leave. And you have to be prepared to risk that. And that sometimes happens. So an effective counselor, an effective couples counselor, and that's what I hope to be, is why I watch all these videos and take all these courses, will do two things with the person who is not wanting to change. One, show them the consequences of staying the same, and show them the possibility of what more is possible for them if they make some changes. So, as an example, I'm going to copy from one of the people whose videos I watched. Say that the woman's coming in, she's the latent, she's the one that's in the one down position. And the blatant, the husband, let's say he's the blatant, he's the one that's walled off and avoidant. And she's had enough of him being walled off and avoidant. She wants him to talk and open up and be open with his feelings. And he just doesn't want to. He's avoidant. He was probably either raised in a household where emotions were dealt with contempt, or he grew up in a household where he was enmeshed with his parents. He was the caretaker or the scapegoat or the hero child, and so closeness feels enmeshing, and he wants to keep people away. Those are the main two types of avoidance. So now you say, Mr. Jones, I have good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? And he might say the bad news. I don't know. You could say it that way, but really it's saying, you're avoidant, and there's no problem with that. You don't want closeness and intimacy. That's fine. Except you made the mistake of getting married and having children. And every day that you keep being this way, you are damaging them. And your wife just said she's ready to leave you. Here's the good news. You're a good person, just stuck with these habits. You can learn some new habits and have a more joyful life, and I can help you do that. Would you like to join me? Would you like to join in this? So it's about getting, like, if you can join the person the truth, first of all, you have to help them see their pattern. Where did you learn to be so close? Where did you learn that emotions were bad? Who taught you that? You have to join them in the truth, what Terry Real calls. Join them in the truth so that they get it. Show them the negative consequences of staying where they are, the positive things that can happen if they change. That's what an effective counselor will do. That's why good couples counselors are so good. And I want to be one of those. But if you're just in your everyday relationship and you're changing, your partner doesn't want to change, hey, I was with a guy like that. We even went to counseling and he still said, I don't want to change. And that's okay, because that isn't a bad thing either. Because, oh my God, I have the most glorious freaking life now. And he has a better life. Like, it was just time for us to separate and go on. Was it painful to go through that? Yes. But through that pain, I grew so much. I look 10 years younger now than when I left him 10 years ago. Not because he dragged me down. I was in a drag down relationship. So when you're changing, if you want your partner to change, you have to be willing to leave them. You have to be willing to risk the relationship. So those of you who are not quite ready to leave, this is what you do. If you want your partner to change and he's not changing, this is Terry Real gives these examples. You make an appointment with the counselor and you greet your husband every night at the door. You give him a big kiss. Honey, dinner's on the table. It's all ready for you. No. He goes like this. Honey, I'm pretty unhappy in this relationship. And next Thursday at 5, we have an appointment with counselor XYZ. And I expect you to be there. And if you're not, I'm going to be even more unhappy than I am now. I made your favorite dinner. It's on the table. You do that every night for 5 days, and I guess the guys always show up. Or you start using consequences. You stop sleeping with that person in the same bed. You stop making them dinner. You stop picking up the dry cleaning. You stop going with them to functions. You stop watching TV with them. You start imposing limits. You can tell them, until you make some changes, I'm sleeping in the other room. You have to be willing to risk the relationship and take a stand for yourself. Same as we do in early dating. Like, we have to have standards and boundaries. But the thing is, you just have to know in any friendship, work, or friendships, or family, or close relationships, when one person changes, it upsets the apple cart, and the other person didn't sign up for the way you are now. They signed up for the way that you were 10 or 20 years ago, and the way that they felt at that time. And now you're making changes. That's not fair to them. Now, the thing is, what I would always tell my ex-husband is like, I don't know why you don't want to be like more vulnerable, more intimate. I'm not asking you to shoot up heroin or rob a bank. I'm just asking you to be a bigger, better version of yourself. And he was not signing up for that. He was like, babe, I'm good. Things are fine. I'm fine. I don't want all that. And there was nothing wrong with him. He just didn't want all that. I can't blame him. He's a good guy. He just didn't want all that. So that is it. And I have to tell you, I'm going to be making so much more videos about dealing with reactivity and letting things go, because the pain that you feel when you have to leave someone or someone leaves you, or soothing your reactivity, when you can learn to soothe yourself and comfort yourself, oh my God. I've been on a high the last week. I feel so inwardly, so much more peaceful, because I had to soothe myself from this huge freaking abandonment wound I got triggered into from this guy that I had sex with, who kind of started disappearing on me. And I had to reconnect to my inner child and soothe myself. And that soothing reconnected me to this deeper part of me. I can't even explain it. It's just so good. I did talk to him recently, by the way. I messaged him to apologize for calling him some names. One of my friends who watches my YouTube videos is like, that guy's a sleaze and a coward. So I texted him 5 days later, you're a sleaze and a coward. I never talk that way to guys though, but I own it. I did say that. And I said, what a loser. You're blocked. And I just kept thinking, I've got to apologize. It took me almost 2 weeks to get to the point where I could fully own my reactivity because I had healed it. And I could apologize without making him wrong for ghosting me and not getting back to me. And he accepted my apology and said he would like to see me again. And I said, you know, hey, you want to take me out? Take me for a run with your dog and all that? Fine. Else, I'm really not interested. And I really meant it. And I still think about him and I soothe myself. I'm like, I know how to soothe myself now. Like, I'm good. And it's just like very heartwarming. So I'm going to say there is no man, there's no relationship that is worth annihilating parts of yourself just to keep them. Annihilating parts of yourself. But before you leave someone, you absolutely have to, you have to learn how to soothe your reactivity. You cannot leave someone like, fuck you, I'm out of here. You can't leave people like that. I didn't leave my husband like that either. I was very calm. I thought about it for 3 months. I lived in the guest room. I talked to people. I went to see a counselor. I wanted to make the right decision, not from reactivity, but from like, what is good for me? What is good for everyone? Well, what is good for me? Not so it's very important to learn how to self-soothe. And the self-soothing is where that's where the magic is. When someone triggers you or you're afraid and you do something and you learn how to soothe yourself and be there for yourself, then other people are just people that you can just like enjoy and play with. You don't need them for your very survival. Adults cannot be abandoned. You might feel abandoned. Adults cannot be abandoned. Adults can be left. Children can be abandoned. Children will be abandoned. They can die without their caretakers. Adults cannot be abandoned. So when you feel abandoned stuff coming up, that's your inner child wound. That's when you know you have to soothe yourself. When you feel abandoned. My husband told me no to sex. My wife told me no to sex. This is your perfect opportunity to work on your abandonment wound and heal that. And be in your relationship from an adult place, from a loving adult place, not from a wounded child or an adaptive child, the abandoned child or the adaptive child who's like, I'm abandoned, so I'm going to not need anyone, withdrawing or whatever. Anyway, the whole point of this video was when you make changes in your life, it's the people you're in relationship with may change with you, or they may just leave you, or you may just leave them. And that's just the risk that you take. But it's a risk that is so worth it. And with a good counselor and a partner who's willing to put on limits. Like a counselor can't make a person be willing to change. It's the partner can. That's why the couples counseling is so good in making people change, because the counselor will say, hey, Mr. Jones, if you don't change, your wife is no longer going to sleep with you. She's no longer doing this. She's no longer doing that. That's what she just told me. That's what she's saying. The therapist, they won't do it for the therapist. It's the partner has the leverage. The partner has the leverage. The therapist can't be the bat. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you for watching my video.